part 2 of this painting. So this is the second layer, and yeah, you can see I'm listening to a podcast in the background, but I'm starting with getting some more like traditional skin tone in there. It's mostly Naples yellow. And making sure that the highlighted parts are there. Now ultramarine and some umber to get some shadows. So constantly pull something forward and then push something back. And turquoise magically appears. So the turquoise is a sweater, and right now it's not really looking like one solid piece of fabric. So I'm going in there and putting in that middle value of the actual turquoise, then adding some white to get more even highlights. It's supposed to be your comfy cotton sweater. Realized that shoulder was not quite right, so smoothing that out. And then we've got the sweatpants. They are ultramarine blue and doing the same thing. Right now they look kind of blotchy, so going in, it's just white and ultramarine, different levels. Smooth that out. There's a lot of the color float in there, because I want these to be thin, smooth layers that light really goes through. This is kind of like more like oil painting than traditional acrylic painting. You can see it starts to look like two very round legs, which is exactly what I want it to look like. And I'm adding some of that white and ultramarine just to get some bright blue light. Like I said before, I wanted it to look like blue light in there. And some work on the hair. Some pink on those lips. They're really, really pink now. They're going to get dulled down quite a bit. The little green ribbon in hair. And getting more of a shadow on the back end of that hair. The regular darker brown that I use isn't really working. So I'm using some blue shadow in there. So that's that ultramarine blue as a shadow on the turquoise. And clearly getting distracted here. Got to find the next podcast. I'm listening to Things You Missed in History class. So there we go. I'm starting to figure out that shadow on the hair. And now that some of that blue on the pants is dried, going back in with another layer, get that right depth, get the right light in there. You want it to look like light without being shiny. So I think that's something that I find like when you can do it with acrylic paints, they look really good, and you can make it not look like something shiny. And then building up this background. Eventually this wall will look almost white, but I want it to have a lot of depth to it, which means I'm not just going to paint it white. So this is yellow and white together. And right away I can see how so many of my shadows in the figure are starting to work that I didn't feel like they were working before. So yay, it's doing what I want it to do. Since blue and yellow are opposites, they're really going to work well with each other on that contrast and make this figure pop out. So there's why you don't paint the wall white. You want it to look like there's some yellowness to it. Then I gotta do something about the floor. So I'm using magenta, sienna, and white together. Looks really pink on the canvas, but that's the combination. So originally it was just a magenta on there, and this will eventually look like a carpet. More like a beige color than this pink. And we're getting just a little bit of some shadow here with some sienna blending in. And also kind of blending in the wall and the floor. And then some light on the floor. And then some shadow. So this is umber and a little bit of black, but it's got a lot of that medium in it that is making it not really solid. And the shadow needs to go across the floor and up the wall. She's not standing right next to the wall. And then I'm putting a baseboard in there, since most houses have those. Little sienna with a little bit of light and a little shadow on it, and then a little bit of sienna around. And the last thing I'm going to do is throw some light on that wall. And that's going to be it. So after this, I put another layer of the gloss medium on there, and you'll have to come back for the finish.